here's the specific answer that you're looking for. So in knowing what you don't want, you send this rocket about what you do want. And so that's a momentum. It's a momentum that you keep contributing, and then Source rides that rocket and gives attention to it. And so the momentum of what you are wanting is really building. It's built to a very high, fast-moving momentum in your vortex, a momentum that often you are not up to speed with at all. And so when you pick up the subject, and we've been describing every subject is two subjects, what is wanted and lack of what's wanted. So there's a vortex version of it that is spinning very fast, and then there's a grid version of it, which is your perspective, that could be spinning very fast. And sometimes you want it, but you want it, but you want it, but you want it, but. So the momentum seemed like they're almost equal in terms of your airtime. But in terms of the real momentum, they're not equal, because the vortex version is much faster. In other words, when you want it, but, in terms of your ability to give your attention to it, that might be equal, because you're really going to like this. And we're just going to back up and say this again. You're really going to like this. So, do you acknowledge that you have built a vortex version?
Oh, yes.
And that it's been coming over time?
Yes.
And you acknowledge that your source is focused upon what you want, and that that's spinning really high, that that's a well-being that is tremendous, and that when you allow it to manifest, it will be a big deal.
Absolutely.
That's step 1 and step 2. Now we're talking about step 3, which is your choosing of the discs. So, I know what I don't want. I know what I do want. Seems equal, but it isn't, because you've been doing it and doing it and doing it, and the momentum of your vortex is really, really powerful and fast. Let's call it the well-being of the universe, just to punctuate it in the way that we really want you to hear it. It's huge. And when you stop doing that thing you do, then you'll move right into that. In other words, when you stop holding your cork under the water, it will flow right into vibrational alignment with all that's in your vortex. You following us so far? We've been talking about that for a while. But now we're talking about these grid discs. We're talking about your point of attraction. We're talking about your airtime. We're talking about step 3. We're not talking about step 1 anymore. You've set that into motion. We're not talking about step 2 anymore. You've set that into motion. In other words, that is a done deal. This thing that you want, or these things that you want, are already vibrationally achieved. So now we're talking about your point of attraction. And in your point of attraction right here, right now, you might be giving some airtime to wanted, some to unwanted, some to wanted, some to unwanted, some to wanted, some to unwanted. We're just talking about your attention to the subject. Some to wanted, some to unwanted, some to wanted, some to unwanted, some to wanted, some to unwanted. Your vortex exists apart from that. Your vortex has already accomplished everything that you're asking for. All of the cooperative components have already been gathered. We're not talking about step 1 and step 2 anymore. That's already a done deal. We're talking about what you're doing. This disc, this disc, this disc, this disc, this disc. Isn't it pretty obvious that if you choose this disc, that stuff will flow into your experience and you will realize it? Do we really have to talk about anything other than step 3 anymore?